Hello everybody and welcome to the third episode of my weekly card reviews. This episode I'm going to review the cards of Season 2 Week 6. Last week we had an update to the heroes. There was a balance check. Heldem got buffed, Ashgurdy got buffed and Dat got buffed. The last week has been pretty interesting. Heldem turned out to be super powerful. Just because you were able to level up every second turn and stuff. That and Ashgurdy got a little bit better. Palma is still king of the hill, pretty much. Riktig is also still solid, also because he kind of counters Heldem, because he has access to so many silence and that kind of effects. Also, passive aggressive is a really good counter to Heldem. The deck that I had most fun with after the patch has been Highlander Palma. I didn't expect that. I didn't think it would be any strong, but it turns out Palma has so many good cards that you can just cut down all copies to one and put in a few more cards, and then you can turn your good stuff, Palma, into a Highlander deck really quick. And yeah, Aragos is super solid. X marks the spot, can be solid as well. But yeah, so much for that. I think aside of that, there's probably going to be a tournament soon, but hasn't been announced yet. Always remember to watch Submitted for Your Approval. It's a very good show. Also, they said that probably the Heldem buff is going to be reverted, so maybe Palma's getting even stronger or something. Yeah, that's pretty much what I want to talk about. So let's jump right into the reviews. The first card of the week is At Peace. It's a 1-mana spirit action, and it says banish a card in target player's graveyard, gain HP equal to its cost. And this card is pretty much straight up support for Marie, because in Marie, when you reach your level 3, usually the game plan is to discard some big card from your hand, usually something like Legion or Schlorp or Vox or Dan Smith or something like that. And then you want to use your level 3 hero active on that to get the payoff for just 1 mana. And the problem that Marie currently has is that it's very easy to disrupt that, because you literally just kind of have to kill a unit, and then that unit is on top of your graveyard, and you can't really use the hero active on the unit that you wanted to use it on anymore. So with this, if your opponent kills one of your units, then you can banish that unit, and then your payoff card is on top of your graveyard again. Also, you get a bit of HP, so even if you don't use it in that scenario, it can be useful. I think this card is pretty solid. I think you're going to run it in most Marie decks, just because you really just right now need ways to make sure that you can get the payoffs of your level 3. So I think this is going to be 3.25 stars. I think it's a pretty good card to put into your Marie decks. Just generally very solid. I think it's not going to be an inclusion in Lifebond based decks, just because, well, this week we get a better card to do that job. And also, usually, most of the time in the early game, you won't get much value out of it, because either you have no units in your graveyard or just very low cost units. But yeah, this of course synergizes with Baleful Pumpkinkin. Mainly it's going to be Marie level 3 support. Next card is Corrupted Lands. It's a 2-mana 0/3 place in Spirit, and it has Can't Attack, and your Can't Attack units have +1 attack and Deadly. Pretty much straight up place support. A while ago we got an update to Wake the World, it was decreased by 4 mana, so there was already a kind of buff to that place archetype. The problem that places have right now is there are very few good places that you can run with effects like this. And most of the places have relatively low HP and have like effects that aren't really what you want to do in such a deck. So if you were to run a place deck, this would definitely be in there, and this would be like one of the main reasons to run a place deck in the first place. But I think that with the current support, you really just kind of can't make it work. It will need quite a few more places, I think. So yeah, I rate this 2 stars, which is kind of unfair in a sense because if more places get introduced, this might very well be like, I don't know, 3 stars or something, or 3.5 even, but it's so far off that I can't really see it. So yeah, 2 stars. The third card of the week is Crab Cannoneer. It's a 5 mana 3/4 Crab Pirate, and it has Summon, create a Cannon Loader. The Cannon Loader is a 1 mana 1/2 with, at the end of turn, increase Crab Cannoneer's active damage by 1. And now the active that Crab Cannoneer has is deal 3 damage, decrease this card's active damage by 1. So essentially, if both cards survive, it's just active deal 3 damage every turn. And you have a 3/4 and a 1/2. And that sounds pretty good. Now the bad thing about this is your opponent can either just kill the 3/4 or they can just kill the 1/2. And if they kill the 1/2, then your Crab Cannoneer will still be able to deal a bit of damage, but after a few turns it will just not have an active anymore. So yeah, your opponent can kind of like choose what, like depending on what removal they have, they can deal with this card. But like generally speaking, 5 mana 3/4 and 1/2 with a useful active on one of those, that's not too bad. The problem here is it's a Mind card, and Mind really doesn't have any unit-based builds. It's mainly just actions in Rictic, or like Fork in Rictic, or in Ashgurdy. It's like aggro with a bit of burn, but for this to be worth it, there would have to be some kind of mid-range unit-based build, which may be a possibility in the future. There's another card this week that would kind of fit into that archetype. But right now, I think it's not a bad card. It's solid, and like you could theoretically play this in Kyung-mi as well. Also, like it's an active, so maybe with Chariot of Galay, maybe it could be worth it. But yeah, overall, I think it's not too strong. I give this card 2.5 stars. Yeah, if this kind of mid-range unit-based Ashgurdy deck, or Rictic even, if that becomes a thing, then Crab Cannoneer could be good in that, but right now it's just not a thing, and also I don't really see it in Kyung-mi or anywhere else really. The next card is Loudmouth, which is a 1 mana 2/1 strength unit. It has enemy duelist abilities can only target Loudmouth. Yeah, it's a pretty gimmicky card. It's kind of supposed to showcase this like duelist disruption. I guess it's kind of like collective version of Taunt from Hearthstone, but not really, since like in collective not everything has duelist. Yeah, so I'm just going to go ahead and say it. This is a 1-star card. It has this gimmick, but even if your opponent has duelist cards, which is basically something that only Mind and only Strength and sometimes Spirit have, even then, if they have 2 duelists, one can duel this, and then the next one can already duel whatever they want. You can also just play Pancat, or like one of the Curios from the Night Shift Merchant, or like any other one damage ping. So yeah, gimmick card, not much to see here, 1 star. The next card of the week is Phantom Pouncer. It's a 3 mana 4/3 spirit unit, and it's a Wolf Spectre. And it has summon, put a chosen unit in your opponent's hand into play, and this duels it. So this also got in as the only card from the Disruption card jam. So yeah, this is a Disruption card. It pulls the unit out of your opponent's hands and hopefully destroys it, or at least deals a bit of damage to it. And yeah, I think this is actually a pretty strong card. Of course, you can't disrupt any card with it. For example, if your opponent plays, like for example, the Sky Captain Pier and Grovenal Forest combo, then putting any of those two units into play is terrible. But the fact that this is a choose effect makes this much better, because most opponents will have some sort of small unit that has like a summon or something, or like just some ability because like even if it's like a passive ability or something, this immediately duels it and hopefully destroys it. So in often cases it will be something like a 3-mana 4/2 or 4/1 that discards a card of your opponent's hand. Of course, it's not really just any card, but it's there are a lot of cards that you can discard with this. And I think, like, I looked at a few cards, and I think that there are quite a number of cards that are pretty good to hit with this. Just cards with like active or passive or summon abilities, or like any abilities really. For example, the Night Shift Merchant, Dan Smith, that card is everywhere too. You can there are like cards in every deck that it can hit. In aggro, it's stuff like Sycomancer or any of the Spirit 1-drops really, because like 3-mana 4/2 discard my opponent's Sycomancer or like some other card. Like sure, I take that. That's pretty good. Yeah, in mind, Helping Hand or the 2-mana 2/1 that generates a coin, the Pirate Guy or Pirate Dog. So yeah, I think this is a pretty good disruption card for Spirit decks. Basically just that, I think. Yes, it's a summon, but I think you have better summons to use your level 3 on in Marie. So I think this will go right into that decks, because also like that's main problem right now is he's very good against aggro, but he suffers a bit against combo and control decks, and this could be a solution to that. So yeah, I give this card 4 stars. I think it goes probably right into the dead deck. Its only downside really is that it's pretty inconsistent, and there are some decks that you can't really use it on. But yeah, pretty solid. Also, it has it combos with Lysica, the Toon Detective, so that's something to watch out for too. And yeah, pretty solid card. The next card of the week is Remasterer Damante. It's a 13-mana 5/9. It's also the rare card that got in this week, and it has Summon displays its album record, and then the other ability is when you play a different unit with a summon, add its summon to the album wherever this is. So basically, when you play this, it repeats all the summons that you played that game. And this is quite the whopper of a card. It's 13 mana, but there are a lot of summons in the game, and there are a lot of good summons. So I'm gonna go ahead and say this is a 5-star card. It has a lot of different applications. The most obvious one would be with Legion. If you play Legion before this, then this is going to fill up your board with 5/9s that duel random enemy units, and that's really, really strong. Because basically it clears your opponent's board, and you get a full board. And like that's a 2-card combo that can be done relatively early in Palma. So even just for that, it would be 5 stars. But it also has some other applications. Also, you can enhance that combo with cards like Sky Captain Pier, where you can play the Damante and then use the Pier summon to fetch down and dirty to ready all your units, and then you can even attack with them directly. You could use the 6-mana 4/4 turtle that gives ward to all other units, so your board is a bit more protected. You can use a lot of other cards too. I think this has a lot of potential. Other applications would be, for example, you could play this in a Vox deck to kind of mirror your Vox's summon effect. Or you can just play this in like a deck that plays a lot of units with summons, and it can be solid there. Like there are just a lot of like good summons that just kind of get better if you put them on a 5/9. Stuff like the Stockpack Pouncer that duels an enemy unit as its summon. Like that gets significantly better if it's on a 5/9. And if you stack a lot of those summons, I think Remasterer Damante can get good pretty easily. But yeah, also the Legion deck is probably going to be pretty strong. Yeah, 5 stars, obviously. The next card of the week is Shimmermist Serpent. This was a card that I was pointing at earlier with the Crab Cannoneer. It's a 4-mana 3/4 mine unit, and it has when an enemy action targets a friendly unit, its controller pays 2 mana if they can't counter that action. So basically, it's a kind of small untargetable that is not like outright untargetable, but it has a similar effect. It's a bit weaker, of course. And yeah, I think this card suffers from the same problem as the Cannoneer. As in that there really just isn't a place for it. Also, it's kind of a bit worse than the Cannoneer even because it's a 4-mana 3/4 that often does nothing, and 4-mana 3/4s that do nothing are terrible. Especially if you're talking about a class like Mind, where the only really place for this would be some sort of relatively fast deck, which means basically Ashgurdy, and in Ashgurdy, like, oh boy, do you not want to play a 4-mana 3/4. Also, the fact that it's not straight up untargetable makes this a lot worse, because if your opponent really wants to deal with their board, then they can play, can pay those extra 2 mana to still play their Lightning Surge or their Down and Dirty or something like that. And also it doesn't affect AoE spells or anything that isn't targeted. So I think this card is pretty weak. I give this card 2 stars. I'm not even sure if it would see play in some sort of mid-range Mind deck, but like maybe. But that's also like so far off that it isn't really worth considering even. So yeah, 2 stars, I'm afraid. This could use a buff actually, so yeah. And then the next card is Shuffle Hot Sauce. It's a 1-mana spirit food, and it has feed, choose and shuffle a card from your opponent's hand into the deck. They draw a card. So yeah, pretty much a straight up food support card. If you can get a few units after this, then it can be good. The problem with this also is it doesn't actually give you any sort of value. Like your opponent stays card advantage neutral. The only thing this really does is disrupt their hand. So if you play like a food deck where you can buff your units and then you play this beforehand and like discard their AoE spells or something, then that could be something. But even then, like it's such a niche scenario, and even if you get this to work, I don't think that it will be worth it too often. Also, food decks are still a solid bit off. Like there aren't enough food cards to warrant playing a deck with it, I think. So yeah, I'm afraid Shuffle Out Sauce will have to be 1.25 stars. It's not terrible, but it's pretty damn useless. Like in a food deck, maybe you play like 2 copies of it, but even then, it's not going to be anything that makes food decks good in the slightest. So yeah, kind of sad, but that's how it is. And the next card of the week is String Do. It's a 1-mana spirit action, and it has rebound, gain 3 HP. And yeah, this is life gain at its finest. It can be just 2 mana, gain 6 HP, which is solid if you want to survive a bit longer in your as Stat or as Marie. The main place, of course, with this is with Baleful Pumpkinkin, which profits from you gaining 3 or more HP. So if you combo this with Pumpkinkin, it's like gain 3 HP and you deal 2 damage to an enemy and you gain 2 HP from that. And you can do that twice because it has rebound. That's a pretty strong application, I think. The Pumpkinkin is one of the, like, it's basically in every single not non-aggro spirit deck right now. So yeah, I think you can just put this into your you cannot put this into your general good stuff dead, I think, because therefore it's too weak and it does too little. And also, like, the only real profit for this is with Pumpkinkin. And I mean, as good stuff that and good stuff that is basically the only dead deck that you can play, aside of plants, which is also a deck where this would be the best in probably, because those have even like the Grand Ginkgo and others. They also profit from you gaining HP. So I think you can put this into your plant deck, but you can also put this into your Marie deck maybe, because Marie is relatively weak against aggro. And this is a pretty good card against aggro, and you're already playing the Pumpkinkin because it synergizes with the level 2 level up reward from Marie. So yeah, I think this is a 3-star card. Maybe put this into your Marie deck. Certainly put this into your plant deck, and it's a pretty solid card. And now we are on to the last card of the week. It's Warwolf. It's a 2 mana 3/2 duelist, and it's also a wolf. And this card has already been discussed quite a bit on the Discord server, because people compared it to Lizabo Hunter, which is a 3 mana 3/3 duelist in Legacy, and that was a card that did in fact see play in the past. I highly doubt that it would see play nowadays, because there are just better alternatives. Like, there are a lot of 4 mana duelist cards. There are the wolves, yeah, but it's not a bad card per se, and this is like this is -1 mana for just -1 HP. And I look at this card and I'm not exactly certain how good it is, but it's certainly pretty solid. It's basically 2 mana deal 3. It's a bit delayed. Also, like 2 mana deal 3. This is Fireball. Fireball was a card that was seen in every single mind deck in the past. And I mean, this is not directly 2 mana deal 3. It's kind of delayed. It can be removed with 2 damage actions and stuff. But it also has its upside. You can buff this. You can not use this as removal, but instead just as board presence. It's also a wolf, so it goes straight into the wolf deck, of course, which is still pretty strong, I think, even though that the Shadow Wolf got nerfed. But yeah, it is very versatile. You can play it on turn 2 or turn 3 in Perlmore. I think this is mainly Perlmore card. And I give this 4.5 stars, because I think it's actually pretty much an auto-include in most Perlmore decks. Even nowadays, when we have so many good Perlmore decks, Perlmore cards, because it's just so versatile. It has this early game removal. It's supreme against Dad's level 2 reward, Bip and Bob, and also just generally against everything that has 1 or 0 attack. And yeah, pretty strong card. And this, like, it's not super insane. It's probably not going to need a nerf, but it's something to consider when you build your Perlmore decks. And maybe even Haldem. Who knows? Like 2 mana 3/2 duelist, that's pretty strong. And yeah, this was it for this week. This episode is a bit shorter than the last ones, but there was also no DC. And yeah, I hope you liked this review. Make sure to give me feedback if you have any thoughts. And see you guys next week. Play Collective. Watch my videos. Watch Submitted for Your Approval. It's a very good series. Goodbye and have fun.